Hello, and welcome to another episode of BlackLantic. I'm Clinton, and this is Hillary, and you've seen this environment before. Yeah. We are back in Halifax for day 2 of Juno Week, and we are so excited to be
joined by Jah'Mila today. How are you?
Doing well. Hey guys, so incredible to be here with you. Awesome. Always a pleasure to share with you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you, and it's been such a pleasure to listen to your music over the months and the past about year since I first heard about you. We had the pleasure of featuring you recently on CBC Radio during Black History Month talk, and even Rogers Television. So
before we get into the first question, we have an intro that we throw to.
Right.
Typically, here is our intro and our land acknowledgement.
BlackLantic Media acknowledges that it carries out its work on the traditional unceded territory of the Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq, and Pescataway peoples.
I would also like to acknowledge that I am seated on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And we're back. I just have to, we have to keep the consistency. But yeah, we've been talking about you, and it was so nice to meet you finally at the Juno nominations, and so I'm so glad that we were finally able to make this happen. And I mean, not that it's a teaser, but she's nominated. She's out here and she is nominated, and she's performing like so much. You've been performing leading up to this. Yeah. You're performing, I mean, this will air later, but you're performing tonight, performing tomorrow. Yeah. Your world, I'm so excited for you.
I'm super excited as well. This is unprecedented for me in my musical career, and it's all like a wonderful, adventure, and I'm excited to soak it all in.
I would like to ask you how you are, but I think anyone who has already seen your face on the video, aside for the audio listeners, knows how you are. You're full of joy, beaming, and excited about everything that's happening.
Totally. Me, my team, my family, it's an exciting time for us all because, a year ago, this seemed so far-fetched. And so it feels really, really surreal.
Yeah, I often wonder that about some of the artists that are nominated. If you had, of course, you visionary what you want out of music, but would you have seen yourself being nominated for a Juno Award a year ago, 2 years ago?
The truth is, I sing even when no one's listening. They say the artist is entertaining to everyone else but the people they live with.
Wow. Well, yeah.
Think about it, right? And so I've been singing my entire life and will continue to sing. And so it's just an added bonus when people choose to listen. And so I'm grateful for that. And then beyond listening, when people choose to recognize it and to give it some acknowledgement, I'm grateful for that beyond anything else.
Well, that's deep. So Jah'Mila is a Jamaican-born, Halifax-based reggae artist. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about where you're from, what life was like growing up for you, and all of that?
Yeah, so I'm from St. Anne, Jamaica originally. I was born in Kingston, but my mom moved back to the countryside. So I'm from, the Jamaicans would say, the bush, real country. My grandmother was a school teacher. I lived in an extended family household, and music was a big part of our household. But it's Christian music because we were Seventh-day Adventists, staunch Seventh-day Adventists that kept the Sabbath, and I was a part of the choir. And so that's kind of where my musical performance life began. My grandmother actually realized that, I could hold a tune. Mm-hmm. And so she encouraged me and my mom to send me to the choirs, and that was really encouraging for me. And it trained me to be able to stand in front of a crowd and share and not feel embarrassed about it. So that helped me to do public speaking going forward in high school. And then on the other side, my dad was a traveling musician. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him because the sacrifices that musicians make is that they're not always home, right? Mm-hmm. So he was out there making a name for himself, which now I think is really a blessing because he set big shoes for me to fill, I'm so really grateful for him. My dad is Earl China Smith, a really big reggae
guitarist, right?
That has contributed a lot to the genre and a lot to outside of the genre as well. So I'm really proud of him. And so that was happening, but I wasn't in that world, Mm-hmm. I was more with my maternal side of my family. And so when I moved to Kingston for university. That's like if you were living in Nova Scotia and you moved from Cape Breton to Halifax. Yeah. It's kind of that kind of concept. Moved to Kingston, I got to spend a lot more time with him, and it was wonderful. Like I would see him when I was younger, but not in this way that we would have bonded through music, when he realized just how much I loved it. And I realized how much he loved it. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. I hope I'm answering your question.
That's it completely. I'm gonna move the mic a little bit closer to you. Please, there.
Go for it. Thank you.
And I just have another quick question before you ask the next question, Hilary. So
sure.
the church, was that in Jamaica or was that in Halifax?
No, in Jamaica. I didn't move to Halifax until 7 years ago. I moved.
Oh, wow.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, a lot of people don't realize, for all that we think we know about Jamaica, how big the religion is there and how many churches there are, and the churches per capita, like all over the country and nation. So a lot of really talented black singers just tend to find their origins in a church environment, in a church group.
Not only in Jamaica, but in North America as well, and right here in Halifax. I find that the church is a training ground not only for music, but where else in our community that's free of cost do our youth learn how to sit and listen to a speech and learn how to certain social connections and social graces outside of the school, that is. I think it's, for me, it was a good training ground.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through a little bit about 7 years ago moving to Halifax? And I think we always ask people, sort of their first impression, and we anticipate something about the cold and the environment, but I'm curious, what was it like for you when you first got here 7 years ago?
I'm still freezing.
We actively are today. It's cold out here. Yeah.
It was, I didn't quite understand. Moving to a new place is terrifying, Hilary. And so when I came here, the place seemed cold, not just in temperature, but I didn't quite have a community. And as an immigrant, you don't know where the social spaces are for you to make these connections. Yes. You come here, I came here first to visit my mom and sister. My mom moved here as a nurse. And so I went out searching for music because I'm a musician, and I'm like, there must be music here somewhere. So I was on a bus, number 4 bus. They don't even have it anymore. And I saw a guy with a guitar, and I went over to him and I was like, no offense or anything, but where do you play that? Is there a place where music happens here? And he pointed me out to the open mic house on Agricola Street, run by really popular Nova Scotian singer, incredible Ben Kaplan. And so I went down there. I took a bus. That time I was calling Agricola. I was calling Agricola. I could barely find the place. But I ended up in there, and then I met a young lady called Roxy. It was Roxy and the Underground Soul Sound.
Wow.
Okay.
And she brought me to see the Melatones. She brought me to all these live music venues. And the world opened up.
Yes.
The world. This place that seemed so closed. The music community opened up to me. Within a week, I could call people by name. There were people I could send a text message to and say, what's going on tonight? All from a conversation on the number 4 bus.
Wow. Well, all because you were confident enough to go up to a random person and ask for the community you were looking for. I think that's incredible.
Well, we all determine personally if that's creepy or not.
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think that's creepy at all. Good for you. Good for you.
How long had you been in Halifax for before you found that community?
2 weeks.
That's it. Okay, you don't get into it. How did you find the people in terms of friendliness and welcoming between Kingston, where you grew up in St. Anne or Kingston?
Well, I grew up in St. Anne, and then I went to Kingston for university.
Okay. How do you find the difference in the way you were accepted and the people just between the East Coast of Canada and Jamaica?
That's such a great question. I find there is a warmth that's very similar, but once you get in, people will be nice to you if they don't know you in the stores and also on the buses and all that stuff. But in terms of really making connections, deep connections, where you can have, another tier of conversation, if you understand what I'm saying, another tier of connection. I find that was easy to do once we had some mutual acquaintances. So Roxy opened up the door for me in the music community. She introduced me to Erin Costello. She introduced me to Adrian, who went on to become my husband. She introduced me to the Melatones, who 3 of them play in my band right now. She introduced me to a lot of people that first week. And that first week, I want you to know, I didn't come here to live. I came here to visit.
Right.
My mom was living here. So I went back to Jamaica and then formed a relationship with a guy months later that I had met here. And so I didn't move here until 2 years later. So the year we're talking about is 2014 or 15, but I didn't move here until 2016 permanently.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's often love that gets you to the Maritimes.
Nah, not at all, not at all.
This is totally on candid. This is not just about the music, it's about you.
No, I think that's
incredible. It's about BlackLantic Canadians. Yeah. So, yeah.
I will let you know my interracial. Let's make it BlackLantic. My interracial marriage and the people that I met. It's crazy how the music community. I could see that there was a little bit of they existed in different realms. I don't want to say separation because when they're all together, they're all very friendly and we all make music together. I can't find another community or think of another community in my head that's more close-knit. But when I came here, I wasn't finding a lot of Black music venues.
Right.
And that was noteworthy to me. So the places I would go to would have a sprinkle, but not like the people I know now, you know, the O Sound, the Smith Sisters, Gary Beals, those guys, the rappers that I know, Jordan, KO, Quake, all those guys. I didn't know where to find them. I was, my community were more funk, rock, and pop. And this is no indictment on the community. It's just the avenue I got into the community from.
Right. So I did want to ask in terms of like assuming that you came here with the sound that you already had, that's the reggae, the roots, like what you sounded like in Jamaica and brought that to what I was going to surmise would have been a somewhat white community to start. I was curious about how they would have perceived you at like these open mics and when you first sort of opened your voice to them. And then since you sort of brought that up, I am curious if did the Black music scene, did you stumble upon it the more you made connections, or did it also grow over the 7 years that you've been here, or is it a little bit of A and B?
What a great, insightful question that is, Hillary. I think it's a little bit of both. So I'll have you know, and this might be a long-winded answer, but I was a background vocalist. I was not a lead singer. I would not have classified myself as a lead singer coming into this community. I had 2 releases that I did with a producer that I wasn't super proud of, but was just happy to have music with my name on it. But I was touring at a pretty high level. And I was touring with Black Uhuru, I was touring with the Wailers, that was my very first tour. And then I was touring, when I moved here, with a really popular band from California called Groundation. And we would do world tours. So when I came here, that's the angle of music. Oh, totally. Like, you can look them up. Like, they gave me a lot of incredible experiences. And so when I came here, I was a background vocalist. And it wasn't until living here and sitting in and watching the music, I was like, whoa, they're killing it. And knowing about like the Nova Scotia Community College music program, now that is very noteworthy because a lot of the community here, they went through that program. Dalhousie has one too, but I have to say that the majority that I know went through the NSCC Music Arts program. And so they were a community already. You know what I mean? And I would see people younger than me killing it on stage, big old bands, and I was like, look at them killing it at life. And it really encouraged me to want to do that for myself. Now, I met a guy here, Charles Austin. I went in to do background vocals work because it quickly spread that there was a reggae backing vocalist who was doing like tours and stuff. And so Charles Austin from the Echo Chamber, an engineer, connected me with the Dub Cartel.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Dub Cartel. They're pretty big, aren't they?
Big.
They used to be. They've since broken up a couple of years ago, but when I came here, they were one of the maybe 2 or 3 reggae acts in the community. And so Charles Austin put me in touch with them and they put me on stage. And I would still stand to the side of the stage even when I had he gave me lead parts, the guys in the band, I would still stand in the side of the stage because that's what I was used to. I'd still do oohs and rather than really, and Kyle would be like, come to the center. He would say that on stage, come over here, get over here. It wasn't that I was afraid or anything. It just was what I was conditioned to do.
Wow. Isn't that wild? Yeah, so that sort of became the transition of your realization or growth from background vocalist to front and center stage.
Totally.
So
I say all the time. Oh, sorry.
No.
I say all the time that it seems like a short distance, but it's a big step. Of course. To step from there. And it wasn't until I came into this community that I developed the confidence to do that. One person who really helped me to do that was the drummer of Dub Cartel. His name is Teddy Skiffington. One Sunday I was at home with Adrian, my husband, who plays guitar, and he's like, do you want us to jam maybe your stuff? By this time the Dub Cartel had broken up. And he's like, I was like my stuff? And he's like, yeah, see if we can learn some songs and do some shows. You could be the lead singer. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, what shall we call ourselves? He's like, Jah'Mila, just you. We'll just come jam, put a set together. We started off with a whole bunch of Bob Marley's because that's what reggae artists do, right? I didn't have 20 songs. Right.
And everyone knows Bob Marley's songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there begins the journey of what you're seeing today.
So just a few individuals or one individual and just a couple sentences can completely alter the course of your life.
Totally.
So I just want to ask you a little bit about the venues and the intermingling of communities, and then we want to dive a little bit deeper into, of course, the reason we're here this week. Yeah. So you mentioned that, you couldn't find these people. Was it that there weren't venues where a lot of Black music was taking place, live venues, and how has that changed? Or was it just that you didn't know where to go?
I didn't know where to go, but it's funny. I guess if you go to a rock show, you're going to see rock. But it's only events that are showcasing events like Music Nova. So that's where I found the Black music for the first time, like the Music Nova Scotia showcasing events or the East Coast Music Association's showcasing events. And it brings the entire community together. But I didn't know where to go to find Black music. And so people would mention the church. And I'm like, yeah, but what if I want to go out at 7:00 for a drink somewhere and see these performances? I didn't know where to go. And over time, after being a part of these showcasing events, I met these incredible musicians. And over time, you're seeing more, over the past 7 years, you're seeing more intermelding, from my observation, intermelding of the communities, where you'll see let's take, for example, the block party last night.
Yes.
You'll see a little bit more of a mixture.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, we know, Alon, who's a Black drummer in the rock scene, almost sort of prove that point that you can, that genres we shouldn't be conditioned to think one genre belongs to one race or group or identity of people. But yeah, that was also sort of what I was trying to ask before too, is that same thing, because I was curious around if everyone's in this one sort of place. And I do think, having grown up in Moncton, when I think of the live musicians who are in the bars, it does still come across very country folk. You expect a white Acadian person to be at the bar, and I don't know of any Black people with a guitar just jamming on a Tuesday while people drink beer. Exactly. I don't think that there is that in Moncton. So to find I was curious in terms of I'm trying to think is there a place in Halifax would be the spot to have a reggae bar maybe, but does that exist? And that's where I was curious about that too.
No, there isn't, and that's so interesting. I read something just this week. I can't remember where I read it. I want to say it's probably online doom scrolling, but diversity is being invited to the party and inclusion is being asked to dance.
That's nice.
Right?
I like that.
And so when I came here, there was diversity of music. I saw it, but then we know what the popular venues are in Halifax, and I wasn't seeing a lot of marginalized folk being asked to dance, if you know what I mean. Yes. But in my own career over the past 7 years, 7 wonderful, magical years, I've experienced the change and the growth in the community. Amazing. having partnered with Symphony Nova Scotia, for example, you don't quite always hear, or well, see or hear Black music coming through the avenue or the conduit of the orchestra.
Absolutely.
So that's one. And being able to play in certain places like rock music, for example, being able to intermeld with that community. I've seen it open up. And not only for me, I've seen it for other people, but I can't speak on their behalf. But it's really beautiful to see that we're now being asked to dance.
Yeah.
I love that.
We've barely even gotten into our questions yet, because I saw your Nova Scotia Orchestra performance, and that was mind-boggling. That was such a unique blend of like reggae with a full orchestra on stage. That must have been surreal for you.
Oh, of course. It's like a fairy tale. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. That was incredible.
The Symphony Nova Scotia, I want to say a big thank you to Eric Mattis, Holly Mattison, Daniel Bartholomew Poyser, who is one of the only Black conductors in Canada and who's doing and change-making individual who has impacted my musical journey in such a big way by asking me to dance.
Anyone who's listening or watching to this, Google Jah'Mila with an orchestra. I don't know the best way to find it. It's an incredible thing to watch.
Few headings, if that's
yeah, of course.
So the Symphony Nova Scotia Fusion Series, and that would have happened in 2021 is when they released it. And then you can also look for Reggae Roots online, and that's in collaboration with the National Arts Centre Orchestra.
Yeah, it was incredible. I think that's around we created our company around that time, and I think we first followed each other. Like, we've been following each other that long because I remember that coming up on my screen, being like, "Who's this beautiful woman who's following my company? Who's just doing the coolest things?" Because it was at a time when I was like, "Who notices us?" But you noticed, and we noticed you right back because it was incredible.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
I've been following you for some time.
Thank you for
and
that.
here we all are
It's always
finally.
exciting.
Yeah, speaking of, so the reason we're all here, you were nominated for Reggae Recording of the Year for the Junos, which is so exciting. And I mean, I do feel like you've touched on this a little bit, speaking to your journey, through Jamaica to here. But what does this mean for you and your journey, like as a Halifax-based reggae artist? And also, I got to ask you this at the nominations, but the fact that it's even here, like the fact that you get to celebrate this in the place that you call home, like how important is this to you?
You know, like when the NBA plays in their home court, like a team, it's like, yeah, come on now.
Yeah.
Nova Scotia, exactly. I feel really proud. Just this week, just so many magical things. A group of students from the Tantalon Elementary School, dude, go on my Instagram and go watch this video that they put together. They remixed one of my songs and made posters, and because they saw my band perform on February 1st, 750 students, and it was sponsored by the Halifax Regional Municipality Educational Department and the NAC through the Reggae Roots program. And they just kind of brought the students together. 9:30 a.m. we had a big old party. Anyway, the kids must have liked it because they were like, "Oh, Jah'Mila is nominated for a Junos. Let us surprise her with a video." They made posters and everything. And I was like, okay, this is community. Yeah. I feel supported. And it's like to be able to touch that demographic.
Youth, yeah. I was, did you cry? That was my question.
I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I'm like, geez.
In answering your question, it's like, I feel really good that not only have I found this community and I'm thriving here, but that people have opened their arms, including the babies. The babies, they love me. They love Sugar and Spice. That's their song. That's their jam. And I'm like, thank you guys. And so I want nothing else, because to whom much is given, much is expected. And I want nothing else but to continue to make people proud. I want to show up in the best version of myself. And I am not perfect. I'm learning every day. I'm learning, and I have flaws, and I know what they are. And I'm trying to be like, okay, people know who I am. People are rooting for me to make them proud. So this weekend is no different. I want to go up there. I have a little speech prepared. I'm not going to wing it. I'm not going to toy with an opportunity and a platform like that. But just in case they give me that thing, I have a message for us all.
Oh, wow. I hope I hear it.
I hope I hear it too. And I do want to ask another question briefly, but I'm curious just about and you sort of asked this a similar thing to somebody at the Black Diamond Ball, and so I sort of want to reword that question, but in the nicest way, do you think having been the backing vocal to the lead to the nomination, do you feel almost this imposter syndrome that you're combating, even though I would say from our perspective you absolutely deserve this? I'm just so curious about that mindset of crying about these kids, but in my mind it's of course you're a role model, you're a leader, you are a Black woman that people should be proud to look up to. If I was a kid, I would have wanted to look up to you, and there were no Black women like you when I was growing up in Moncton, and I know you can speak to this. So to me that seems super obvious, but I know being in that that other role, it's people are looking up to me and I'm doing something cool, and I can't believe that people feel this way about my work. So if you can speak to that a little bit, because you are no longer the backing, people are looking up to you.
Oh, wow. I just got goosebumps. Well, sorry. No, don't apologize. Thank you, Hillary. That's really kind of you to say, and you are completely right. I still see myself as that backing vocalist. I go to Jamaica on Monday, and when I go, I'm going to see some of those people that I've supported, and I might still sit at their feet, as if, it's the same, and I guess it isn't.
It's not.
I work a day job. I'm a project manager at an IT company.
Oh, wow.
And so when this is all over, I'm going to go to my desk and I'm going to sit there, Hillary. My car got into a crash 2 years ago and I didn't replace it. After this weekend, I might jump on the bus, Hillary. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And those things are humbling. But so my mom said, you're going to need a car because you can't be on billboards. She totally ruined it.
Yeah. You can.
But I'm just showing you that
no.
I have to remind myself every day that it's not empty popularity. I've been given this opportunity for a reason, and I want to enjoy it.
Of course.
I want to put the makeup on and put the beautiful dresses on. I want to do it. But I also want to turn it into something impactful. Because it's an opportunity. It is an opportunity. And I know I'm doing something right when I get feedback from the kids.
Yes.
But I want to keep on doing that. Because how easy it is for us to lose ourselves in the whirlwind of the growth. Mm-hmm. And you forget where you come from.
Yeah.
So every time I step on that number 4 bus, like I did the first time I came, it humbles me and brings me right back to myself. Yeah.
You still should put the Juno on your desk. If and when you win, I think that should. I think you have to be y'all, this is your project manager. I just need you to know.
Have you touched it? They're so heavy.
Are they?
I can imagine.
We have not touched the Juno.
We haven't yet.
At the CBC put on in February a series of shows here. Called the CBC Road to the Junos. A whole bunch of artists played, and they had outside like a place they set up, and they had one a replica of one. The thing is heavy. It's easily 20 pounds. I swear. They say you're not supposed to touch it until you actually get one, but I touched it.
Nah, you can touch
it.
Do they have a podcasters category? No, eh?
No,
the comedy one. Yes, note to the organizing committee.
Well, yeah, we'll sort that out.
We'll sort that out. I got a little bit of goosebumps myself just listening to your previous answer. I will say you could take the bus. You could say those exact same reasons. If anyone asks you, it's my way to connect and remain humble. Or environment. Anyways.
Well, you know what? It's not that I can't.
No, I know.
I work from
There's
home
nothing wrong with.
But as I said, it is very humbling.
I was just teasing.
I will say, though, and just very briefly, so we recently got a couple of distinctions and stuff, and I've actually been talking about the fact that if you don't do something with them, or you don't build legacy, or you don't connect to the youth, what does it mean? What does it mean to be regarded by your peers if you don't do anything with it? And I really find it very interesting, and I actually want to do more journalism around the accountability that it also looks very glam, but we all have to eat at the end of the day, and people don't know that these industries are not often as paying as people think. It's sort of when Canada came out and we realized that everyone who got a gold medal at the Olympics, I think, only got $20,000, or in America, they become millionaires. When you have things like that and you don't know the real, like, people think we're here at the Junos and it's a super big deal, and I want people to know that I am sleeping on my friend's couch to make this happen, because you go and you get the opportunity, but you do it however you do it. You still get on the bus and you still get your job, but you also might get the Juno. That doesn't make you any less or more of an artist. It makes you real. And I think we need to be talking about all of that so much more. Side note.
Let's dig in, actually. I respect that. What you just said, because it is the truth. It is, we're artists, we perform.
Yes.
We perform. And we are, I'm going to use the word brainwashed, but what a strong word. We are seduced into believing that performances are pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
But what if people love you when you show up as yourself, in the fullness of yourself, naturally? What if you didn't have to pretend?
Mm-hmm.
What if you could just show up as you are and they love you still? Those kids did that for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know about the red carpet, though, but those kids, I showed up as myself and they love me the way I am.
You're a powerful speaker. So not only a powerful singer, a very powerful speaker.
You need a podcast. We need to give her a side podcast.
Very interesting, everything you have to say. And as I said in the beginning, that's part of our goal here, right? We don't only want to talk to you as a musician. We want to get to know Jah'Mila.
Mm-hmm.
Jah'Mila, how do you pronounce it? Jah'Mila, okay. But let's dive into, we keep saying we're going to get more into that. Actually,
yes.
But how are your coworkers react? Are they freaking out?
Crazy.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Let's talk about that. All right, so I've always tried to keep them separate, so I don't bring my artistry to work. I would never want them to think that my loyalty is splintered, or like something is taking away my attention, because I have big responsibilities at work. I don't want to get into it too much, but project management, IT, I'm doing a lot at work, and I don't want them to feel like my loyalty is threatened. You know what I mean? You want to make sure, because your employer, pardon me, anywhere you work wants to know that they have your full focus and all that stuff, especially when they give you a certain level of responsibility. So I got nominated for a Juno, right? And so the first thing they did was put me up on billboards across the city. So I go to work. Like, not my manager, but my friend was like, was that you on the billboard on Joseph Howe? I'm like, yeah, that was me. And they're like, whoa, congrats. Anyway, my company invited me to be a part of an incredible internal African History Month event to speak to the staff about my experience as a black woman, you know, not only doing the stuff at work, but now I can't hide that I'm doing some incredible stuff in the community as well. And so I was really grateful that they thought about it in that way. And so the cat was out of the bag in a big way. And I sat with my manager, and I shared with her that I was approaching burnout, because the truth is, in trying to hide my what was that thing that super
alter ego?
Like you're just your alter ego.
Yes. Secret identity.
Yeah, your double life.
Secret, my double life.
I get it. Yeah.
Double life, but it is, and I love both very well, because the disciplines that I learn in my corporate world helps me to be a better independent artist. I don't have management. I have a team, but they're all like on my payroll. And being a project manager, those skills are transferable, and it helps me to be able to engage you guys, and, you know, like at a certain level, you know. Anyway, long story short is that event set the precedence for me to be able to have an open and honest conversation with my employer about what was happening and how much it was taking out of me energetically. And so right now, thank you so much, work. I would call your name, but I probably shouldn't. Thank you so much. They gave me a couple of weeks off so that I could handle and give my full focus to this, and I can come back to work. And I did not imagine even 4 months ago that this would be possible, that I could have that conversation, I thought that they would have their defenses up.
Really?
Yeah, weird. Maybe that's all in my head too, right? But a couple of months ago, I was near burnout. And it brings me right back to what you were talking about before, because I'm not confident yet to leave my full-time job. I'm not yet. Even maybe this Juno and the exposure and will set me in that direction. But for now, I need that to be able to live in the way that I know how. And so, but doing them both, especially when the other career is growing, the business of music is very demanding.
Absolutely.
You know, those emails won't answer.
No. I don't think I know on your level, but I am on vacation time from my day job to be able to do this. Like, I definitely feel that like split personality, because people are like, what, you like the House of Commons said that you do good podcasting work. Like, what are you doing outside of like this time? Like, when are you actually at your desk? I get that a lot. I get like the work is happening, but when are you at your desk? I'm like, I'm not. I'm sending those emails from the plane. Right. But I feel you. It's hard, and it's definitely hard, I think. We still haven't gotten to like all the Juno stuff, but there's so many commentaries I think I could make around being a Black woman in a workspace and those expectations, and feeling like you have to show up 150% instead of just 100. You have to show up 150 to be the best you can ever. Just be mediocre is what people say all the time. So it's like when you're trying to be a double life and you're trying to excel in artistry and then excel in a normal corporate world, and you have to be 300% in total instead of just like 100 at each, like that must be so demanding and so difficult. And then like to think about if you leave one, well, what are you going to do to survive without the other? Like I feel that part absolutely. For sure. It's a challenge, and so many people that I speak to, just like you, Hillary, have that same problem. And I think it's an opportunity for us, Black women and Black artists, not only Black artists, any independent artists, to come together and do some collective solutioning. Here's my project management. Do some collective solutioning, because we're not alone. Yeah. And there's a way to find balance. We just haven't found it yet. Of course. And so, let's... Yeah, I'm like, we need a grant, we need some funding, and then we need a CS done, some sunshine. We all need a trip to Jamaica. Of course. And to do our emailing from there. You're funny. That's what I'm pitching. I'm happy. Good segue. We're all sitting in like a room and like talking about it and coming up with solutions on ways forward, best practices. So
you didn't cut me off. No, I was saying talking about Jamaica is a good segue to some of the next questions. Yeah. No, we're interviewing you, so you can cut me off anytime you want. Yeah. But it sounds like your workplace really values you to have openly, without even your request. It sounds like giving you that time off to have your space and prevent your burnout, which is very important. Mental health and your double work life balance. They can't get in the way of a superstar. You want that headline next? Random workplace stops Jah'Mila from success. Like, we'll come.
They're incredible. They're incredible. I wouldn't change them for the world.
I'm going to try to blend together a couple of questions here and answer them however you want. But so you're a reggae artist in Halifax, and you're not performing to a 90% audience that loves reggae and understands the culture and roots and stuff like that. So how do you balance staying true to your roots while appealing to a diverse sort of Atlantic Canadian East Coast audience, and while you're discussing like the staying true to your roots and making your music, like talk to us a bit about the process behind Roots Girl. The album must have been a really deeply personal one, and I know you recorded part, if not all of that, in Jamaica, and then here as well. So yeah, those two things, and then if you can ask me to re-ask you some of this.
For sure. But I'm going to start with the Roots Girl.
How about you just start? You go ahead.
So Roots Girl was the debut album. Yep. There wasn't a lot of strategy around it, but I know that my band and I were jamming every Monday night in my friend Alex's attic. Thank you, Alec, for those years of allowing us a space in your home so we could sharpen ourselves. And then together, collectively, we came up with this idea that we should go to Jamaica to record. And my band paid their way. We were not funded. And we got down there and we recorded at Tough Gong Studios, some live off the floors and some bed tracks. And when we came back 2 months later, the world shut down. my keyboard player, Richard McNeil, said, okay, let's bubble. Remember that name?
Yeah.
The bubbling? I bubbled with my friend, Richard. He's like, well, we could not have made those investments and stop this work. So I go into his attic, another attic. Roots Girl was made in attic. And I went there every Thursday, and every week we made the goal of having at least one demo. Then George Floyd died. He didn't die.
Yeah.
George Floyd didn't die. We know what happened to him. And that was our next Thursday session. I was distraught. And I remember Richard saying, come over, let's connect. Let's connect. And it's like, if you could talk to the guy, the police guy, I remember his name and I don't want to, what would you say? And that was the first lines of Chant Their Names. We stopped the whole album. Whatever we were working on before stopped. We're like, the world is closed down. We don't know if we're all gonna die. Let's put this song out first. And I sang that demo, went back home, and within a week, that song was fully produced. Richard McNeil, Charlie Benoit, Teddy Skiffington were calling the names of the people who took that demo and made it a song. Trevor Murphy, a very well-known publicist from the city, was like, I heard your song, I want to get it out there. I did nothing more than show up on a Thursday distraught, and we wrote that song in under 2 hours. Wow. The first thing we did was we were talking about it, because we didn't say, let's write a song. We were talking about it, and he's like, I watched it, like, whew. And I think everyone wanted to do something about it, and they didn't know how. And this song, when it came to life and manifested in Richard's attic that afternoon, that Thursday afternoon, people saw a way that they could contribute to getting a message out, because they didn't know what else to do. And they were like, well, here's a thing I could get behind, you know? And so the album stopped and Chant Their Name became a thing. I didn't have an album. I didn't have a song released, except for those ones I had in Jamaica. All I had was a well-rehearsed band. Charlie Benoit plays guitar in my band at the time, and he's a videographer. And Charlie Benoit said, okay, we're gonna do a video. Are you ready for a video? I'm like, not quite. I had just cut my dreads off. I had long dreads as long as your braids, Hillary. And in March of 2020, I cut them off because I had no one to care for them during the pandemic. I was like, I'm not quite ready. And then I reminded myself, this isn't about me. In that video, the lashes that I put on fell off on camera because I couldn't put the lashes on myself. I'm telling you. Chant Their Name was a community thing where my friend Solita, who has some models here, because I was like, I need people in this video, because if it's a protest, protests need people, but it's also a pandemic. It's a pandemic. And my friend Solita brought her models out in the face of a pandemic to stand behind me on that video. I spent $0.00 putting that message out into the world. Me, I didn't put that message out into the world. This entire community put that message out into the world. I'm getting goosebumps.
And that came out like a month?
Within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks of me writing it, and I would have written it a week after, within the week after George Floyd, the video, within the week after the video went viral. And it took a life of its own. And I was like, whoa. I was really grateful to be able to shine a light on that, because this is a story as old as time, but it's for the first time that it was on camera and the world could see it. And I was like, who am I to be the conduit of this message? You know, I questioned myself, and people questioned me too. I got some comments from people who were even close to me that said, are you monetizing this? And I was like, no. I wrote a song in my friend's attic after we spoke about the atrocities. And then I left and came back, and there was a fully produced track there. People were looking for a way to contribute, and they didn't know how. Anyway, so there goes Chant Their Names. We're getting to Roots Girl. We're getting there, I promise. Roots Girl was filmed in Jamaica But as I said, the pandemic came, and in that same trip, the video and everything. And then we're like, okay, we're going to get back to work. By 2021, the world was opening up. And then we're like, well, we have this video. Let's put it out after, Chant Their Names had now taken a life of its own. And people who didn't know me knew me, like yourself. And then we got back onto the album. And Richard and I kept at it. And we were kind of spinning our wheels in the last bit. And wasn't quite sure where to go. And we all went back to work. And everyone, we didn't have as much time together. And Leaf Music and my friend Ben Barton Krillman helped me to take the last few steps of bringing Roots Girl into the world. It was a labor of love, and it was not me. It was me as well, And so, and that shines through. Is Roots Girl maxing my capabilities? I don't think so. But the story of how it came to be will forever be etched in my mind. Yeah, it's a story of community.
That's great. That's a great answer.
Yeah. So the second part of your question, if I remember it correctly, was
appealing to a diverse audience while staying true to your roots. It's probably simple. You just stay true to your roots, and if they like it, they like it. Yeah.
As I said, I did nothing with Chant Their Names. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Nothing.
You just poured out your spirit.
I poured my heart.
You wrote a poem. You wrote poetry to music.
I teared up, and I continue to tear up when we now have a symphonic arrangement of that I'm performing with orchestras. Yeah. They requested that.
That's amazing.
Show up, man, in the fullness of yourself, and the people who are your people will stay.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess it feels like an obvious answer. But just that's the same thing when we were interviewing Kirk and Iseti Don and 180 for Summer Salsa. That the answer is always just stay true to yourself when you're making your music. But have your experiences as an immigrant to Halifax and to Canada, has that influenced your music at all? Have you found a way of blending the two worlds together?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a great time to mention Canada Council. And not only Canada Council, factor in all the others, but I have to say Canada Council specifically because I am a recipient of a Canada Council grant that is now funding my second album. And my application, thank you so much. Funding like this doesn't exist in Jamaica.
Or the States.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. But what a difference it makes to be able to not think about the lack of resources or how are you going to amass the resources required. It's not a cheap undertaking to be able to do this music and do it properly. It's one thing to have GarageBand, but it's another thing to really manifest your vision in the fullness and pay your collaborators well.
Yeah.
And Canada has allowed me to do that with the second album. Roots Girl, you know how it went, but the second album, Woman of the Sun, and it's going to come out in a couple of months, so look out for it.
Yeah, I liked how you said that didn't maximize your full potential, Roots Girl. So you got something in the chamber.
Got something in the chamber, and I got the support to do it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's so important. And so, how has it influenced me? The support has influenced me because I am able to dream a dream and get the support I need to manifest it. So, Government of Canada, keep it coming. I know that you've just recently cut the Canadian Music Fund. Not a good idea. Keep it coming because it's changing lives out here and it's stimulating the arts economy in a big way. So that's one. And number two is the different types of music that I've been involved in since I've been here. Yep. Orchestra music. So of course I have string players on this one. I have a whole string section that I had met through the symphony. I have Bad Habit. My producer was like, Bad Habit is my most recent release and it's not reggae. And I'm like, well, I did say I was going to make a reggae album. And he's like, no. Put this song on there because every time I hear this song, it touches me in a way. And I'm like, I feel the same way, but it's not reggae. And he's like, no, go for it. If you love it, do it. And the feedback on Bad Habit since it's been released 1 week now, has been overwhelming. It's not reggae. Predominantly, the album will be reggae. But if I wasn't living here and getting these sorts of encouragement and exposure, I wouldn't understand or be confident enough to be able to explore other parts of my potential, my artistic potential. And so, yes, I'm true a roots reggae artist till I die. I was raised on that music. But how beautiful it is to be able to grow as an artist.
You are allowed to grow. Don't ever let anyone typecast you.
Beyonce's doing country now, I hear.
Cowboy Carter. I'm ready for it.
And when I saw that also was like, I felt validated.
Yeah, of course. Yes, of course, because the whole point is someone said she couldn't do something, and so she did it. So, yeah. Watch us. Watch us all, absolutely. I also think what's incredible about what you just said, too, is that you think you said you've got so much more in you than what Roots Girl allowed, yet you're being given accolades for what you're saying is a small portion of what you can deliver. So just imagine what we're going to see next from you, and so that's very, very exciting. I want to ask, what message do you hope that listeners will take away from your music, and especially the tracks that led to the Juno nomination?
Yes, that's a great question. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Find the thing that lights a fire in your heart, and you pursue that every day. Yeah, that's it.
Amazing.
Your people will find you.
Yeah.
Your people will find you. If they don't like it, they can go. But the people who love you will love you the way you are.
Accountability. Just showing up, being authentic.
Are there any things we haven't asked you about or that haven't come up today that you want to discuss, that you want people listening to you on their earbuds while they're in the kitchen cooking or possibly watching us on YouTube, that you want them to take away from this all?
I mean, it won't be like super deep or anything. Just stream the music, guys. It helps. Stream the music, buy the records, connect with the artists. Not only me, every independent artist. We're out here doing a lot of work, and your feedback, your shares, your encouragement, it all helps to make it a better journey for us. So keep supporting the artists. Keep going to the shows.
Great, Jack, because streams are great for engagement and notoriety. But if you really loved an artist or Jah'Mila's music, purchase something, share it on your page. Sharing on your socials is I would say, in some ways, way more powerful than the streaming.
I have a funny story. So I have a little apartment here, and I have all my records. If you want to get my records, you must come to me. And so I have a bunch of them left. It's not a lot, but I will need space for the next record, and I've already ordered them. So, I have some shirts and stuff, and just this amount of space. So if even to get them out of my house, please.
We'll help.
Well, maybe we can buy one if you want. If we have to meet you somewhere. It's still recording.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys.
No, of course, it's incredible. I think, and for you to say that the ending wasn't profound, I think the entire episode was extremely profound. You had such insightful one-liners. Really consider keynote speaking your podcasting, because you've got gems in there. I'm excited to make the reels that everyone will the sound bites everyone will listen to. This was such an amazing episode, and by the point,
made it really fun. Thank you.
Thank you. By the time everyone's seeing this, they will have seen probably snippets of your performance tonight at Juno Fest. They will have seen you perform at the opening awards sort of gala dinner, which we're very excited for, and they will know whether you won or not. And regardless, I think that you should consider yourself a huge winner in just life, because you are paving the way for so many people that are going to follow in your footsteps, and those kids who look up to you. I'm sure there are many more kids that look up to you that you don't even know about. So I am humbled to be around you, because you are just a force and so inspirational.
I appreciate it. I really am grateful for your time, guys, and you shine like a star.
Thank you. Thank you. I was listen, I could cry all the time. I'm just always one little poke away from women are the best.
We gotta hold it.
I know. I was I don't think this mascara, it will last today. Anyway, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we haven't mentioned it yet, but Jah'Mila, Jah'Mila. If you're listening, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Jah'Mila as well as us. Like, comment, follow, all of that gravy stuff. And
look out for the next album from Jah'Mila. We will be posting and sharing as all of these things come out, and catch us with more Juno content coming up soon.
And we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.